G'day. Today I'd like to just have a chat about welding helmets. It's one of the overlooked things with welding, I believe. Making sure that we understand all the settings and how to adjust a welding helmet so it's nice and comfortable on our heads. Because if we're not comfortable and can't see properly through the helmet, then it makes a difficult task even more difficult. So one of the first things is these are self-tinting helmets. So when they sense a bright light, they'll darken instantaneously before the brightness of the arc gets through to our eyes. So that ensures that we're not getting any welding flash. And the other job of the helmet is to protect our face and skin from UV and infrared. So they're two very important things as well. So yeah, looking at a helmet, there's these two of just a couple that I've got lying around the workshop. And they've both got large screens. You can see that the screens in them are quite large, which gives you a good viewing area, which is good. There are some that will have a smaller area in the front, which is still okay, but you just feel a little bit more maybe claustrophobic and don't see as much of what's going on around the world. So yeah, I'd just recommend when you're buying a welding helmet to get one with a largish screen on the front, and just making sure that you keep your lenses nice and clean in the helmets, because welding gal can tend to deteriorate these lenses quite quickly. And also there's a range now with ventilation systems built into the helmet. So you would put on a belt with a filtration system that sucks fresh air in through a filter and blows it out into the helmet area to give you fresh air as you're welding, to push any fumes away, because we now understand that welding can be quite dangerous and carcinogenic. So we need to make precautions, and I wear a respirator under my helmet. I find that it's a little bit easier and not as cumbersome as hooking up a whole respirator belt and whatnot. So yeah, I put a respirator on under my helmet, and it's quite compact so that when the helmet's down, it's not bumping against the helmet. So I'll post up a couple of pictures of what I use. Actually, I've got it just here. I'll bring it over. So this is the guy that I use underneath my helmet, and yeah, that works quite well. This is a fairly new one, but yeah, quite compact, and we just change these filters over as we need to. Yeah, it's got a nice seal around here that seals quite well and doesn't cause your lens to fog up, which can be a problem as well. So yeah, quite like that. It's nice and easy. I think if it's easy, we'll tend to wear it. Okay, so just talking about comfort level with our helmets, a couple of the things that we need to check when we're putting our helmet on is that we've got a good viewing area through our helmet. And what we can do is top straps, these guys, over the top of our head, we can actually adjust those. We can pop them out of their little retainer and loosen or tighten those. And why we would want to do that is just to make sure that when we're looking through the helmet, that we have good vision through the center of our screen. So one of the first things I do when I unbox my helmet, brand new helmet, is to adjust those straps so that it's sitting nice and comfortably on the head. And the second one that we want to adjust is this one at the back. So it's a push and turn just to adjust that strap so that it becomes nice and tight on the head. Not too tight, otherwise we'll end up getting a bit of a migraine or headache from that just being too tight on our heads. But we just want that to be enough so that our helmet doesn't keep falling forward on our head. So yeah, get that one nice and comfortable. Then the third adjustment that I like to muck around with is these on the side. And we can loosen those anti-clockwise, which makes the helmet fall forward quite easily on these pivot points either side. So yeah, that that needs to be adjusted as well. You don't want to lift your head up, your helmet up, and have it keep falling back down again, because that's a pain. So you just want the tension on those to be enough so that it holds your helmet up, and then when you nod your head, the helmet comes down and it's ready for welding. There are a couple of other little adjustments that you can see just in here. So there's a little tab on the helmet. You pop this out and move it, and that rotates the helmet on this strap. So sometimes you might have to play around with that as well, because you might find that when your helmet comes down, it's touching your nose. So you would want to adjust this to move the helmet away from your face a little bit, or it could be sitting too far out. So have a play around with those as well. Yeah, really important to get the helmet nice and comfortable on your head. So your viewing is good and comfort level is good, because you might be doing this for quite some time through the day, so you just need to make sure that it's nice and comfortable. Okay, so once you've got your helmet nice and comfortable on your head, the next thing that I like to set is the shade, and that is the shade setting just here. And you'll see that if I click through that, you can see that it goes down to 9, shade 9, that's blinking at the moment, shade 10, 11, 12, 13, okay? So 9 through to 13, so 9 being the brightest, and then 13 being the darkest. So why would we need that? Okay, so 9 would be for manual metal arc welding or stick welding, where the arc is shielded from our eyes a little bit by a gaseous sort of fumy area given off by the flux on the electrode, which kind of hides the arc a little bit from our eyes, so it's not quite as bright. And then that's probably 9 to 10. I would set my welding helmet for stick welding between 9 and 10 shades, and then 11 and 12 would be for MIG, because with MIG, typically just with a gas cover, we have a clear gas, an argon gas mix comes out and protects the weld from the atmosphere, but it's a clear gas, so the arc will be a bit brighter with MIG compared to stick. And then once again, we step up to TIG, which is brighter once again, and typically with TIG, we're welding a highly reflective metal as well, like aluminium or stainless, so that increases the brightness of the arc. So we'd want to be about a shade 13 for that. For gasless welding, we've got a bit like the stick. It's creating a gaseous shield around the arc to protect it from the atmosphere. So then we might, with gasless, we might have it around a shade 10 or 11. So yeah, just play around with those settings with your shade. So 9 being the brightest and 13 being the darkest. And we can bump that down as well if we hit, and this will vary on all different types of helmets, but I can change that so that we've now got a shade 5. And if I click through that, we've got a shade 6, 7, 8, 9. So it goes from 5 to 9, and 5 would be for oxy cutting or oxy welding, 5, 6, and then probably 7, 8 maybe for plasma cutting, and then 9 is the beginning of our stick welding. Okay, so you can turn that way down to a shade 5 for oxy cutting. There we go, back to our 13 for TIG, and I was actually welding aluminium with my pulse MIG, and I bumped it up to 13 because the arc was quite bright. So we just want to protect our eyes from the arc, and we do that by changing the shade. Don't fall into the trap of when our lens gets dirty, inside and outside lens. When they get dirty, we tend to cheat a little bit and lighten up our lens so we can see a bit better. Don't do that, because we will harm our eyes. Take your lenses out and either replace them or give them a clean. Dishwashing liquid seems to work well to get all the gunk and grime off and whack them back in again. So the next setting that I like to muck around with is sensitivity. So I'll usually set that probably about midway. Okay, so you can see as I click that, it moves my sensitivity up and down. So I'll probably go about midway for that one. What sensitivity means is if we're welding outside and the sun is out and shining bright in a particular spot in the sky, what it can be doing is darkening our helmet before we strike the arc. So that's not ideal. So what we would do is lower the sensitivity so your helmet isn't as sensitive. So low sensitivity for outside when it's a sunny day. That way we can still see through the helmet until we strike the arc. Inside, we might want to increase the sensitivity so that it will darken when we strike the arc. So yeah, just have a play around with your sensitivity. If you're having trouble with your helmet being dark all the time outside with the sun out, have a play around with the sensitivity setting. So you want it to be a lower sensitivity outside. Then we've got delay, which is one that confuses a lot of people. I think delay means how long it takes for your helmet to darken when you strike the arc, but it's not that. What it is how long it takes for it to become clear after you've finished welding. So if you have a short delay, that means as soon as you finish welding, it will brighten and become clear. If it's on a long delay, it will stay dark for longer after you've finished welding. Now, why would we want to change that? Let's say we're doing a lot of tacking, tack welding. We want it to brighten really quickly after we've tacked so we can move to the next position to tack again. Then it becomes bright and we can see and tack, brighten, tack, brighten. But if we're welding at high amps and volts, the arc would be quite bright, and after we've finished welding, the weld zone would be quite bright as well. So the area of the molten metal would remain bright, so we might want the delay to be a bit longer. So that means that it will stay darker longer after we've finished welding. So once again, just protecting our eyes. So there are our three main settings on there: shade, sensitivity, and delay. This one has a few memory settings as well, so if you're doing TIG welding, you could make a log of that particular setting for TIG, another one for MIG, and another one for stick. There's also a grind setting on here as well, where if you hit that one, it would remain clear no matter what. So whether you're grinding, welding, it would remain clear. I never use that, and the main reason is on a lot of helmets, if you don't change that when you strike your arc next time you use it, you've forgotten to put it back on to weld, and you'll get a flash. It's probably not enough to cause you to get a arc eye, but I don't use it because the other reason is grinding with your helmet on it destroys your lenses quite quickly, and you need to replace them more often. And if you've spent $1,000 on a welding helmet, you don't really want to be using that for grinding. I'd rather get a clear faced mask for grinding. So that's just a quick run through on some of the settings on a welding helmet. I hope that's helped out. I'll catch you later. See ya.